Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, Jelly Beans. So we have a new series that we want to try to do as a couple because hubby's really smart and he's smarter than me.
No.
So,
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. We wanted to come up with a series for young Muslims or Muslims in general that are having doubts in their religion and doubts in their faith. Because doubts is something that a lot of people have, right? And it's something that many people don't talk about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we spoke to, someone close to our family who is a scholar in Islam, and he thought it would be a good idea for us to discuss these things with the youth because sometimes it is hard for imams and scholars and muftis and sheikhs to kind of connect with the youth. And he thought YouTube, since we have YouTube as a platform, it would be a great idea for us to just discuss these things. Now, what we're going to be discussing, they're not facts, right? We'll say that now.
Yeah.
They're not facts.
Inshallah, any knowledge that's good is from Allah. Any bad knowledge is from the shaitan and ourselves. So some of these things are theories and stuff that, I just randomly think about with my wife. And because we had encounters with people who are atheists or people who don't believe. And these are just basically just a discussion.
It's just a discussion. Sometimes you just sit with your friends and kind of bounce off ideas and stuff. And these are things that we talk about because we hear other Muslims having problems with them, and then we think to ourselves okay, how can I rectify this thought in my mind? How can I help myself understand, what these people are going through?
Also, also because me myself, I'm a born Muslim, so basically, I just grew up in the religion mixed with, I'm from Bangladesh, so they kind of, my parents and family just kind of mix the tradition and the religion together. So I always grew up just believing, really. I never really questioned anything. But when I really started questioning is when I really started getting more deep into the religion, where I started practicing more. Definitely Shaitan attacked me more, talked about stuff like...
Wait, so this is what this video is going to be about. So this first part of our series is going to be about how a born Muslim, my husband, converted to Islam.
Me.
Yes. How a born Muslim converted to Islam, because a lot of Muslims are always intrigued by convert stories, but I always used to say that a born Muslim themselves, you can be a convert too, especially if you weren't practicing before. There has to be a line where you started practicing. So today we're gonna give the mic over to you and let you tell your story. So I'll interview you, right? I'm the interviewer. So basically, I want to ask you, how was Islam growing up, like adolescence, as a child? How was Islam incorporated into your life through your parents or siblings?
Well, basically, I grew up. It's like I don't remember when I learned about the religion. I feel like I always grew up with the religion. Just like a lot of the Arabic words, it was just same way I learned English and Bangla. I learned Arabic. I'm not perfectly fluent in it, but all my life, as far back as I can remember, I went to the masjid on the weekends with my siblings. My mom would teach us, how to do wudu and how to pray. So I don't remember a time where I did not do any of those stuff.
Okay.
As a young child.
Yeah, so it was part of your life, going to the masjid, the weekend schools, obviously eating halal, and you guys learned Quran and stuff, how to read it, recite it, and stuff
At the
like
masjid,
that. Yeah. So how about in your, let's just say around...
Shout out to Medina Masjid.
Oh, Medina Masjid in Manhattan. So how was Islam, I would say, around 15, 16, 17 years of age?
So the thing is that my mother always had a teacher also. So we had, over the weekend, we'd go to the masjid, but we would have a teacher that comes twice a week and taught me until I was like 13, middle school. Once I got to high school, I really stopped doing it. I was really focusing more on school, and I really didn't have time. I used to be in sports. I was on the wrestling team, so I was doing it all year long. So I really didn't have time. I'd come home 7, 8 o'clock. My mom did her best to try, but I kind of left that phase.
The path,
and my younger brothers were still learning, but I completely
You just got busy with school, like you had after school and certain stuff because you were on the wrestling team. So during that time, would you eat haram meat maybe outside?
Yeah, because the thing is that at some point when I grew up, haram really was just like pork.
Okay.
That's haram.
And alcohol.
Pork and alcohol.
Yeah.
I know my parents knew about like halal stuff, but at that time, I guess really hard to find. It's not like how it is now. It's halal almost at every corner.
Well, and home, your mom cooked always halal meat,
yes,
right?
because they would actually go to the slaughter house and they get the chicken and stuff like that.
But it's just for you as a teenager outside
I'll go to
school
McDonald's and all that stuff.
Stuff like that.
I just wouldn't eat pork or like those two I'll stay away from. Basically, that's how I was ingrained.
Yeah. You knew for a fact, like, I cannot touch this.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there a point in your life, or when did the point in your life come where you thought, like, hey, maybe I should take Islam more seriously? And then tell us, how did you go into taking it seriously? So when did it happen, and, like...
So definitely, I would say in high school, around 15, 16, I have friends... same thing, the Muslims weren't really that practicing. But one thing about us, not just me, I noticed a lot of Muslims and Bengalis, definitely, even if they don't pray 5 times, they will never miss Jummah. That's something we never did. That's another thing ingrained in their heads, like Jummah is the most important prayer. You know, even though technically you shouldn't say it is. All 5 prayers are really important.
Yeah, of course.
But I prayed here and there, honestly. Or mostly like when my mom said, go pray.
Yeah,
you know?
like once you were home and stuff.
Once I'm home, outside I wasn't really thinking about any of that, except Jummah, of course.
Yeah.
But I had a friend who really helped out with the religion, and what I noticed is that they would say, because since I used to wrestle before matches, they would say, hey, why don't you pray and see, Allah will help you win stuff. And I noticed that I was very successful, and I was okay, you know what, maybe I should.
He was a great wrestler, guys, back in high school. El Capitan over here.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So before any matches or tournaments, I would actually just do like 2 rakat, nafil prayer, just so, stuff like that to help me out. And the things that I won matches, I lost matches, but I was still, I guess, just got the habit of doing stuff like that. But towards the end of my my senior year or end of high school years, I just started really practicing more, because then my cousins, they would also, we would have this program at the masjid. I lived in Queens at this time, but every Saturday I would go back to Manhattan to Medina Masjid and have a youth program. And the teacher there actually, the scholar that we're talking about is a family friend. He's a mufti there, and he was young too. And it's funny because we didn't really appreciate him as much
when you were young.
When we were young. But now I'm like constantly, we do our best to talk to him to get as much knowledge as we can. And then I had cousins who really started practicing more and becoming better, and I saw that, and it just
And they're young. They were young, and
you're younger than me,
like,
actually, 2-3 years younger than me. One's 2 of them are alims now. Alhamdulillah. One's in South Africa, and another one's an imam.
And these are kids who, or young adults who actually have excelled secular wise and Islamic wise, and sorry. So seeing them ingrain both of these things, like, really, I guess, inspired you.
And definitely with that, so I slowly, and my cousin who was younger than me, and I saw him, he was doing secular wise, going to school, college, and then at the same time learning how to memorize Quran and doing Army courses. And subhanAllah, Allah's blessed him, to be successful in all those. And he would just tell me, like, don't rush, basically, like, don't overwhelm yourself. So basically do whatever prayer you can. Or focus on one prayer. And then go to 2 prayers.
I think that's really great, because even when I converted, like, I remember I wanted to do everything, and I felt like I had to do everything, and if I missed something, like, it would really take a real blow to my, like, faith. Like, I would think I was the worst person ever, and it did more damage than good. So I think the advice to take it as baby steps, like, some people would say, like, I want to start praying, and then you can tell them, like, okay, try to start with one prayer that you're free during that time and you could do, and then slowly get to the other ones. Obviously you have to pray all of them, but just to get you started, it's better to start with those. Because I have a cousin
also who prays, and he told me, for me personally, Fajr is the hardest prayer, but Isha is the easiest. But for him, Fajr is the easiest, and Isha is the hardest. So it's so funny. Different people have their own struggles. So definitely, and then he said, once you get to you're able to do all 5 on a consistent basis, then try to hit 1 in the masjid. And then do that focus again. Then 2 in the masjid. And once again, Fajr was the hardest one to do in the masjid. And Isha was like the easiest. But definitely focus on the prayers first. And then obviously, by this time, actually just, I had a stage where I stopped eating haram food. I know my senior year. I stopped eating haram, all haram. just stuck to halal until I got to senior trip where there was no halal food, and I kind of broke it. So I had this stage of like 9 months of no haram, and then I broke it, and then I went on another stage. But then eventually, when my faith
got longer, right?
Eventually, since my faith got stronger, definitely now alhamdulillah, no haram.
Yeah, you haven't.
Pray 5 times as much as I can, inshallah. As much as so.
So I want to get to let's just say the heart of this conversation, where you had an experience one night reading Quran, and that was, the verse really hit you, and you really. From that time, you said, I'm really going to get serious about practicing the deen.
So at this time, I did really pray and did as much as I can. But obviously, sometimes when you pray, I guess you're like robotic.
Were you in college at this time?
I was in college. It was 3 years back, I would say. I was definitely in college, finishing up. And these are, sometimes you hear verses all the time. They don't really, you probably heard it throughout your life. They don't really
mean anything at that time?
To you. And I don't want to butcher the verse, but it's like the verse where Allah says... that when I resurrect you, I'm going to ask you, how long have you been on the earth? And some will say a day or half a day. And I don't know, that night, all of a sudden, and I was actually reading, watching videos of Islam, and when I came to that verse, and it just hit me in my heart. And I don't know how it feels to say Shahada for the first time for a non-Muslim, but I feel like this was something like I felt like a weight.
Awakening.
Like, I told myself, wait a minute. It's nothing. Like we're here for such a short time. Allah talks about a day in Judgment Day, 1,000 years like a 1 day in Judgment Day. And when you calculate things like that, I forgot what kind of estimation I was doing, because I'm very into scientific stuff, learning science like that. And I was like, whoa, it's basically like 2 hours, our whole life. You've lived 100 years old, and I was just telling that to myself. But I was like, it's really a waste of time. Like, we don't have enough time, and we're basically here for such a short amount of time. And I notice how time flies by, like crazy. I just feel like just yesterday I was in high school, but it's almost been like 10 years.
Yeah.
So that
gosh, I know.
That really.
That's baby Musa in the background.
He just woke up. So that really just we have a baby. About that, right? So
SubhanAllah, time flies.
So that really struck at me, and I realized, there's not enough time, and I don't want to waste my time doing useless stuff. And this time I was already in the practice, but this I feel like solidified my faith even more. But ever since then, though, there's been more tests. I feel like the closer you get to Allah, Shaitan attacks you more. That's when the more question about, is God real, or stuff like that. Like, it's funny. All my life, I lived my life, never had a question if there's a God or not, and I just lived by it. And that was when I was practicing. The minute I started practicing, the minute I started doing more, Shaitan probably just realized, wait a minute, hold up.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So stuff like.
Can you tell them that quote that you saw that you just told me about recently?
Oh, so a friend of mine on Facebook posted, once again, I don't butcher, but he said, a part-time Muslim can never defeat a full-time Shaitan. And that really resonated with me too.
Yeah, that, subhanAllah, a part-time Muslim Shaitan is literally there, he's committed to his job. He has commitment, subhanAllah.
There's someone else that says, it's funny, hope no one takes it the wrong way, but I feel like it's one, I wouldn't say good quality about Shaitan, but he's very determined. Yeah. He's very determined. And I think someone, Sheikh probably said this, or where, I don't know why I got this from, but he said that Shaitan's giving him his half his attention to you now.
Yeah, when you're not practicing.
Or even when you're practicing now. Okay. But at your dying breath, at your dying moment, that's when he's there at your full, basically trying to make you. I forgot the story I heard. Story I heard. I don't know if it's a Sahaba or someone. Once again, I don't butcher this, but he was dying, and then he kept saying, not yet, not yet. And it sounds like, Father, who are you talking to? Yeah. And it's basically like...
He thought, he wasn't ready to die or something. That's what the son thought. He's saying not yet, he's not ready to meet, die.
But the father was saying, no, Shaitan's telling me, so-and-so, you never, I never could get you. Yeah. You look at you, you made it. I couldn't do anything, I couldn't get you. But the father's saying to Shaitan, not yet, because I haven't died yet. Yeah, so, at the last second, you might be good.
What are you doing, baby?
At the last second, you might say something or not believe in Allah,
Yeah.
So... my thing is right now we're practicing, but he's not really has his full attention. If we're sinning now, doing all this stuff, we're all sinners. But I mean, you're doing a lot of sins or major sins or consistently. Imagine at your last breath, towards the end of your life, he's just gonna be how you're gonna defeat him then. So that's why that part-time Muslim can not defeat a full-time Shaitan really comes in. So obviously, we're doing our best to actually, do the most we can.
So
Inshallah.
I want to, before we wrap up, we're going to continue the series. We're going to get to
See, time by so
doubts.
quick, almost 15
Yeah,
minutes.
we're going to get to doubts and scientific miracles and different things. But I do want you to tell the story real quick about how you were giving dawah. You were talking to your best friend who's non-Muslim about Islam. And, I mean, we don't really have enough time, but your brother was listening and, like, what happened
so
that night.
basically, it kind of reminded me of the time when the Prophet
Sallallahu
Sallallahu
alaihi
was
wasallam.
spoken to a group of people, like king, where he wanted to bring them to Islam and talk to them about Islam, but the blind man wanted to ask him a question, and he
Yeah.
kind of like oofed them out the way, and the blind would have never known until Allah put it in the Quran.
In the Quran,
So
yeah.
basically, my brother was there. My younger brother's like 4 years younger than me, and my best friend, he's non-Muslim, and I was just talking to him about Islam, and I was telling him about dawah, giving as much dawah as I can, and he listened. He's very, very open-minded.
Yeah, he's really
but my brother was just there, and at the end, obviously my best friend, not obviously, but my best friend didn't really convert or anything.
Yeah.
But from that day on, it really sparked something in my brother, and he's been doing the best he can. And it's funny because that I feel like I thought dawah was to non-Muslim, but really dawah should be to Muslims. We could just
yeah.
get someone that's Muslim like I was, just by name. I didn't really practice, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's best to give dawah to your own family as much as you can. and
Because
help guide
these
them.
people are already Muslim, right? And it's like you don't want to lose all these Muslims because you're trying to focus on giving the most dawah to non-Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't notice how many Muslims are maybe leaving Islam or like don't actually believe in the faith.
Yeah.
But we think we don't have to give dawah to them because they say they're Muslim.
Yeah, and
But,
the dawah came with some of the, like nowadays, I feel like a lot of people want scientific evidence, and I love that, and that's what really solidified my faith. So that's what we want to talk about. Is those are the stuff I spoke with my brother and my best friend, and that helped my brother and some of my family members become strong in Islam, and myself as well. So we're trying to do like a series where we could talk about signs and sciences.
Like,
so.
for example, before we end, like, how come the Sahaba, there were so many scientific, like, verses in Quran, but they didn't need these scientific verses to believe in Allah, but kind of like we do now, like our generation.
There's also another thing I heard that I think a YouTube video I saw is that says Quran is not a book of science, it's a book of signs. But there are signs in it.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left, but
so we just, I hope you enjoyed hearing how my born Muslim husband had his conversion to Islam, and I hope you guys stay tuned for the series that we're gonna do, No Doubt series. So until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.